All right, welcome everyone. Gabriel Clevenger here, pastor at the table. So, today is the last Sunday of Advent. We have been watching and waiting, bending our expectations and hopes to the presence of God in this world. We have been both celebrating and remembering the birth of Jesus a long time ago and examining our lives in light of the promise of Jesus' coming to us again. Now, if you haven't read the passages for today, I'll put them up here on the screen for you here in a moment, and they're also in the description of the video below here. It's always good for you to have the scriptures fresh in mind so you're not just taking my word for what we're talking about. So you can pause it here if you need to and read the passages, then start me back up here and we'll talk about the scriptures. Okay, so welcome back. So we're going to hover in the passage from Luke today. Now, last week we focused on Mary's song, also here in Luke 1. But today we'll be centering on the angel's announcement about her bearing Jesus. So the word for this passage should really probably be impossible. Everything about this setting is impossible. Mary cannot be talking with an angel. A poor young girl from a backwater town of a backwoods country in the sticks of the Roman Empire cannot be the one getting a message from God. Her elderly cousin Elizabeth cannot be pregnant. She was past time. We should probably assume that it was apparent that she had already experienced menopause. And the most famous of the cannots here is that a virgin cannot be pregnant. And on top of that, the impossible baby in question is supposed to be the heir of a king whose kingdom was in pretty much every discernible way gone and finished. This baby cannot be a king. And yet, we hate to beat the same drum about this year, the political and social unrest that we see, the debates and the arguments over who's qualified or trustworthy to provide information, what is right, who is right. Hopefully, we're making progress now that we're distributing a vaccine, but there's still a lot of damage to clean up after all the name-calling, social battles, allegations, and economic decline. We can only imagine the continuing effects of the mental health issues and the poverty that are still to come that we haven't seen yet. Political issues are very hard to forecast, but we can safely say that there is more distrust and stress between people of different convictions, whatever your side. The line from where we are now to somewhere good is a thin one. There are so many ways that things could go wrong. For the most optimistic of us, it's more natural to see things on their way to getting better. But for others, it will seem more likely to assume that things won't get better. We started out this year with all kinds of ideas about 2020 being a year for seeing everything clearly and moving forward fast, to play on words. But now, I don't know whether you've seen the memes with all the how it started and how it's going on them. Well, at the beginning of the year, we all certainly had an idea. We had an image of what the end of this year would look like. And it most certainly did not look then like how this year has ended. What is possible and what is impossible feel a lot different now than they did. I don't know what impossible looks like to you. What movement, progress, improvement seems out of reach to you. Mary here certainly has pretty conventional ideas about what is possible. And that's why she asks the angel what she does. What she will come to find out, though, is that convention and even natural laws can't stand in the way of what God chooses to do. It was physically too late for Mary's cousin Elizabeth, but pregnant she was. And being a virgin, it was too early for Mary, but pregnant she will be. Whether it's supposed to be too late or too early, the angel tells us in verse 37 that nothing is impossible with God. Now, it is tempting for us to jump on board here and assume that Mary knew here everything that Jesus would be and how everything would go. I believe we can safely say she did not. So put me down on the no side of the Mary did you know debate. But Mary shows us that it's not necessary to know everything about the end from the beginning. Her words here at the conclusion of the angel's announcement have been ringing in the ears of everyone who seeks to follow after God and believe what he has said. She says here in verse 38, I am the servant of the Lord, the handmaiden of the Lord. The words may seem a little poetic, but she says next, be it unto me according to your word. She says in effect, yes, okay, to the plan. But she doesn't know the whole plan. All she knows is the general shape of who God is and what God does. We see that she does have a good understanding of God from her song in the next few verses, what we talked about last week. But she is signing on for the rest of her life, and the only details she really knows are just about the pregnancy. But she said yes. Now, this is instructive for us. The teenage girl who would face criticism, ridicule, and who knows what else said yes because God smiled on her and welcomed her into what he was doing. A very similar choice is put before you today, right now. Now, I'm not an angel, but I was named after the angel from this passage who gave this news to Mary. And I am announcing to you right now, wherever you are, that God has smiled on you also. You have found favor with God. You are right here, right now, invited into the redemption and the restoration that God is working in this world. It is wrapped up in the story of Jesus. Jesus accomplished and makes available to you the way for you to follow him and live your life in his ability for his purposes, which are life and light to all who will listen and accept him and follow. You might think this sounds great, but you don't see a path from where you are now to any sort of cooperation with God and his work in the world, and that's okay. You don't have to know all the details from where you sit right now. What you do need to do, though, is to copy Mary's response. You need to say, yes, okay. You can say, be it unto me according to your word if you want, but yes, okay may make more sense to you. If you have never actually said yes to God before, to follow him with your life, I invite you to do so right there where you're watching this. Just as real as God coming to us as the baby Jesus, God is calling to you right now to say yes. I invite you to pray this prayer right now, wherever you are. Jesus, I welcome you as the Savior of the world and of my life. Save me from the sins of things I have done and neglected to do, and use me in your redemption of all of creation, however you see fit. Now, whether today is your first day as a follower of Jesus or your 10,000th, you can be thankful for what God has done that you could not and would not. But you know that there's something about being a follower that's true, and it's not just a figure of speech, that being a follower part. There's always, from wherever you are and from wherever you started, a next step to take. There's always something next to do, a next right decision to make. If you're not convinced yet, but you want to know more about being a follower of Jesus, please contact me here. Or maybe you remember praying a prayer a long time ago or knowing that you have followed Jesus before, but you feel confused and lost right now. Please contact me here. We want for you to experience all the joy, the hope, and the peace of God's presence with you that Advent and Christmas are set up to bring. Now, I'll finish this today with the first and the last stanzas from a famous Christmas carol. You probably heard it recently. O come, Emmanuel. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O King of nations, bind in one the hearts of all mankind. Bid all of our sad divisions cease, and be yourself our King of peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. God bless you. Merry Christmas.